everyone. It's Wednesday, October 5th, 2022, and we'd like to welcome everyone to the board meeting. We'll call this meeting to order at 9:01 a.m. You can join today's board meeting via phone, dial 971-254-3149, conference ID 736-023-979. Audio capabilities are listen only and are offered on a best effort for the public. Our meeting is also live streamed, and you can join us by going online to tctvonline.com and click on live broadcasts. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute your phones. You can do this by pressing star 6. Please unmute your phone when your agenda item is ready to be discussed. For those joining via computer, please unmute your microphone and turn on your camera when your agenda item is called. All others must remain muted with their cameras turned off. Thank you. Public comment. Those intending to provide public comment to the board may attend in person or email submissions to publiccomments@co.tillamook.or.us. Public comments received by 12 p.m. on Tuesday will be distributed to the board, posted online before the meeting, and become part of the public record. You may also provide public comment virtually by registering ahead of time. To register, please email publiccomments@co.tillamook.or.us by noon on Tuesday prior to the board meeting. Public comments can also be mailed to the Board of Commissioners office at 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook, Oregon 97141. For more information on public comment options, please visit the Board of Commissioners webpage. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment, David?
We do not.
We do not. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order, and I'll ask our guests to sign the guest list. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Bill Sargent, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
My pleasure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, we do not have any public comment today. I don't think we have any non-agenda items. Is that correct? Okay. So on our agenda, item number 5 will be taken out of order, and it will follow item number 11. So if you're following our agenda, item 5 will come at the end. So we'll move right into our legislative administrative agenda, and before we do, I'll mention that my colleagues, Commissioners Yamamoto and Scar, are with us today virtually. So that's why I'm the only person you're seeing at this desk, but both of my colleagues are here on the screen. All right, item 6, discussion and consideration of a 9th Amendment to Oregon Health Authority 2021 to 2023 Intergovernmental Agreement number 169528 for the financing of public health services. With us, we have Marlene Putman, Administrator of Health and Human Services. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, we're starting on our cycle of contract amendments with the Oregon Health Authority. There are several included in this amendment today, including amendments to Exhibits B, Exhibit C, and Exhibit J, which in summary include adding to PE, which stands for Program Element 04-02, which relates to communicable disease prevention and community disease prevention. So we added $22,000 to that item, and that information is also included in your exhibits. That's to build capacity to improve health and to prevent heart disease and stroke specifically. The next item is adding $10,000 to the immunization services section, which is known as Program Element 43-01, and that pertains to immunizations for children. And we're also adding under Program Element 46-05, Family Planning, $16,494.53 to that item, and we reduced the last item, which is relating to TPEP, or tobacco prevention education, by $1,498 for funds that weren't spent in the previous quarter will likely be added into another amendment as a carryover item. So that's the summary of the amendments to the latest agreement. for your consideration, which has been reviewed by legal counsel as to form and is here for your discussion and approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlene. So I'll ask my fellow commissioners if they have questions or comments.
No questions or comments. This is a very standard process, it seems, every year that the state gives us an initial amount and we go through these adjustments. So no questions or comments.
And for this year, we're only since 2021, we're only up to our 9th amendment. So I think we're doing better than normal through these years. But Marlene, again, we can't say enough about everything that you do for Tillamook County and the health department. We need you. We want you. You're not going anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you,
I work
Commissioner.
with a great team. Thank you.
All right, I think we're ready for a motion.
Okay. In consideration of a 9th amendment to Oregon Health Authority 2021-2023 Intergovernmental Agreement number 169528 for the financing of public health services, I move approval.
And I would second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Aye. Motion passes. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marlene.
Thank you, Marlene.
Sure, man. Nice to see you.
Item 7 is discussion and consideration of a professional services agreement with Lincoln County for juvenile shelter services. And here with us in the room this morning, we have Matt Tennell, Director of the Juvenile Department. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Commissioner, both commissioners here in person and virtually. What you've got in front of you has been reviewed by County Council and Chief of Staff from the Commissioner's Office. This is a part of a long-standing arrangement we've had with Lincoln County to access their shelter facility. For folks who don't know, shelter is an alternative to detaining some kids that come into the juvenile justice system. A lot of the kids we work with kind of fall into a messy space between the delinquency and the dependency worlds. And this is a resource for us to access if we have a kid that doesn't really belong in detention but can't be at home. And I think what we do have some changes. Usually these are just a year-to-year contract, and I got Lincoln County to make the period of the contract a little bit longer this time, so we don't have to come back for renewal each year. And I think the rate is a little bit higher, and I don't think that should be a surprise to anybody since everything's just getting more expensive these days. It's not a lot higher, but it is more than what we've paid historically. And I would just ask the board for their approval after any questions anybody has.
Thank you, Matt. Commissioners, do you have questions or comments for Matt?
So Matt, again, I want to appreciate everything you do here. Dealing with children, especially problem children, it's a huge issue. Well, it's not a huge issue in Tillamook County, but for the individual families that are going through something like this, it is a huge issue. Having these types of arrangements with neighboring counties really does, in the long run, it saves Tillamook County money, and at the same time allows us, in time of need, to make sure that the youth that we're dealing with have an appropriate place to go, so that we can get things turned around in their lives, make things better for their families. It's a thankless job, Matt, but again, we appreciate everything you do. We hate to think of children in Tillamook County being in need of this type of services, but it's an unfortunate fact of life. And again, we appreciate everything you do. You are doing a terrific job in the juvenile department. So thank you.
Commissioner Scar?
Yeah, Matt, thanks for bringing this forward, and I appreciate the work you've done to get a longer term on it, since we know that this is a long-term need in Tillamook County, and shelter for our youth is not something we're going to establish here for the few times that we need it. So I appreciate you sharing resources across counties. I think that makes a lot of sense for all of us, and I do appreciate as well the work that you do. Our kiddos that find themselves in difficult situations. We really want to support them in getting on the right foot, because that's what supports them going forward in their life, and your department does a great job of that, and I appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Well, Matt, as you said, this is something that we review every year, but for the sake of our viewers who may not review this with us every year, the reason that we have to have this contract is because Tillamook County doesn't have a juvenile shelter. So there has to be a special licensed juvenile shelter to hold juveniles. We can't just hold them in the jail. And there are juvenile detention facilities through Oregon Youth Authority, but those are for kids who've already been through court and been adjudicated and sentenced. So these are kids that have to go somewhere, and we don't have that facility in Tillamook County. So we contract with Lincoln County, and I agree with Commissioner Scar that it's great that we were able to get the contract for a longer period. I wonder, do you have off the top of your head the number of how many kids from Tillamook County use a shelter service on an average year?
I would say that it's very feast or famine. It's been quite a few years since we've had to, because the shelter in Lincoln County, actually, they run a homeless youth program in their shelter in addition to having just regular shelter beds. And we've had 2 kids go into the shelter program over the last couple of years. They wrote a huge grant to run this program, and they included Tillamook County in it. And I believe to access that program, we don't need those kids from Tillamook County that would want to make use of that. They're not. This contract does not apply to those kids. It falls under their grant down there since they included it. But if we had a kid that was not able to it was in the court process and needed someplace else besides home or detention, then this is where shelter would come in. And it's been quite a while. It's not something that we use often. I apologize. I don't remember the last time we had a kid in shelter, but it's something that I like to keep in place.
That's good news. Thank you very much. All right, Commissioners, I think we're ready for a motion.
All right, in consideration of a professional services agreement with Lincoln County for juvenile shelter services, I move approval.
And I would second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks for
Thank you.
joining us in person. Item 8 is discussion and consideration of an authorization request for commencement of long-range planning effort for the Kiwanda Corridor Project. And with us, I believe, we have Sarah Absher, Director of Community Development. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you very much. So in continuing working with Rachel Haggerty, Chief of Staff, the next steps, now that the preferred concept plan has been adopted by the Commissioners, is to start a long-range planning process. And so my request before you today, as required under the provisions of the land use ordinance, would be to receive your authorization to start in November by reaching out to stakeholders along Kiwanda Drive and begin the long-range planning process that will take probably around 8 months to complete. And the purpose of this is outlined in the memorandum, is to look at areas where we can consider zoning updates along the corridor to better align with some components of the preferred concept plan. But it also gives us an opportunity to do some cleanup work in this area as well. And so it's something that will take a little bit of time, but just the authorization affords me the opportunity to get the process started as soon as I'm able to do so.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments for Sarah?
No questions. It's just terrific to see this project in Pacific City really gaining momentum and picking up speed to the point that we're finally actually getting to do things in Pacific City. This has been a long road. It has been. We've involved the public every step of the way, and we've gotten great comments and great suggestions from members of the public. Now it's time really just to concentrate on doing. And so I appreciate all the work that's gone into this. Sarah, you put in a lot of work. You're going to continue to put in a lot of work. Rachel has done the exact same thing. This has been kind of a vision thing for Rachel, and I really do appreciate that. But now it really is good to see things actually moving on the ground with this project. So I think it's terrific.
Commissioner Scar?
Yeah, thank you. I agree. This is an exciting time for us. You know, we have the jurisdiction over South Tillamook County. Pacific City, as some people don't realize, is not an incorporated city. It is under the jurisdiction of the county. And so this work is our work to do. And I think it's exciting that we have the concept plan, and it is now time for the rubber to hit the road, which is to begin the very difficult pieces that say, if we're really going to make all of this work a reality, there are some changes that have to be made in our zoning code, and that is where Sarah's expertise lies. And I know this is a really, I'm going to say, time-intensive and cumbersome process under the state of Oregon land use laws, which will also allow for community input. Again, at this point, as Commissioner Yamamoto has indicated, has indicated, we've already had a lot of community input, and this is the next phase of community input. So, Sarah, I appreciate your willingness to take this on with everything else that's already on your plate and stacked on your desk. This is one more thing, but it's something we need to do. So I appreciate you bringing it forward and your willingness to get it started.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rachel Haggerty is project manager for the Kiwanda Corridor project, so I'd just like to ask if you have any comments.
No, I appreciate where Sarah's able to take us in this process and provide her expertise in land use planning to help move it forward.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, then we're ready for a motion.
Okay. In consideration of an authorization request for commencement of long-range planning effort for the Kiwanda Corridor project, I move approval.
And I would second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
You too. Item 9 is discussion and consideration of an Oregon Department of Corrections South Fork Forest Camp Work Programs Work Order number SFFC.2022.678.01 for the Parks and Campground Cleanup Project. With us, we have Melissa Rondo. Good morning.
Good morning. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. I'm having some connection issues. So in front of you, you have what is an extension of an existing work order with the Oregon Department of Corrections for the South Fork Forest Camp Work Crew through the month of May the 31st of 2023. This will extend our ability to hire them, a very necessary service. They are absolutely invaluable to us through that date so that we can continue to have our shiny facilities look as good as they can.
Thank you, Melissa. Commissioners, any questions, comments?
I don't have any questions, but just comments. I know that the South Fork crew is an amazing resource, and it's an opportunity for the folks that are in South Fork to just increase their skills and increase their opportunities by working, and it's a benefit to us to be able to utilize their work product. So I think it's a great resource, and I'm happy that we're able to partner with them and use them in our parks.
And I would absolutely concur with that. I'm hoping everyone has had a chance to visit South Fork Work Camp. It's a tremendous facility, and yet the inmates there are able to provide such great services for all sorts of different organizations all around Northwest Oregon. But since they are in Tillamook County, it's great to have them available for projects like this one right here for our own Parks Department. It helps the inmates, it helps the Parks Department, it helps the residents of Tillamook County, it helps our visitors. This is all a win-win-win-win situation for everyone. So, Melissa, I want to thank you for bringing this to us this morning.
As the liaison to Tillamook County Parks, I'm fully in favor of this because I know how valuable their work has been to us. And I also know how much we missed the work of the South Fork crews through COVID, because during COVID, they weren't able to get out in the community and perform these kinds of services. But year after year, prior to COVID and again now. The South Fork Work Group has done tremendous work for Tillamook County Parks, and we're really grateful for their service. So with that, I think we're ready for a motion.
Okay, you're ready for a motion? In consideration of an Oregon Department of Corrections South Fork Forest and Work Programs Work Order number SFFC 2022-67801 for the Parks and Campground Cleanup Project, I move approval.
And I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Item 10 is discussion and consideration of an amended tax land installment contract with Gateway West Holdings LLC for tax foreclosed county-owned property previously offered at the November 5, 2020 land sale auction, parcel number 4 in Township 4 South, 10 West, Section 27, tax lot number 104 in Tillamook County. Rachel Haggerty, Chief of Staff.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This tax land installment contract was signed by the board in April, after which we were notified by the treasurer's office that there was a typo in the monthly payment. So the original contract had an amount of $556.02 per month, and it should be $566.02 per month. So there's a $10 difference. The purchaser has made up the difference, and so this is to bring the contract into accordance with what the monthly payment should be. So it is ready for consideration, and then after which we will re-record it at the cost of the county.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. Commissioners, any questions? It seems straightforward. I think we're ready for a motion.
Okay, in consideration of an amended tax land installment contract with Gateway West Holdings LLC for tax foreclosed county-owned property previously offered at the November 5, 2020 land sale auction, parcel number 4 in Township 4 South, 10 West, Section 27, tax lot number 104 in Tillamook County, I move approval.
And I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Rachel. Item 11 is discussion and consideration of a letter in support of the City of Garibaldi's application to become a Coast Guard city, which they are already, of course, but Commissioner Scar is going to talk to us about this special designation.
Thank you. So Lori Waddell reached out to me from Garibaldi to let me know that they were working on getting a formal designation as a Coast Guard city. And in order to get a formal designation from the Coast Guard as a Coast Guard city, you need to show evidence to them that you are supporting your Coast Guard men and women by recognizing the professional work that they do, and also by helping them feel like it is their home away from home. So there's really a couple of different pieces that are required. And Lori did a great job of sending me an email and kind of showing me and all the different things that they do for the Coast Guard in Garibaldi. They have some formal events. They started a new one this year, the Pat Patterson Recognition Day, to really look at his historical commitment to the Coast Guard during his time in Garibaldi. They're going to continue that going forward every year, and they're going to choose a new Sailor of the Year to honor during that, which then the work that they do there will move into the Garibaldi Maritime Museum and expand on their Coast Guard display that they have in the museum. So they've really kind of thought this through and looked at what is it that we can do to recognize the work of the Coast Guard. And then of course they have some just different events they do with Coast Guard families. They had a Coast Guard Day this year where they had a barbecue and invited everyone in Garibaldi to come out and spend a day celebrating the Coast Guard. So they really are working hard at this. And she reached out to us because one of the pieces of the application. So
We've lost your audio for a second.
oh, okay. Am I back?
You're back. We heard you say she reached out to us.
Perfect. She reached out to us for a letter of support because that is a piece of the application. So other government agencies that can provide a letter of support that sort of says, yes, they're doing a great job. So we talked about this at a board briefing and then took the information she gave me and turned it into the letter of support you see in front of you that we are hoping we can approve today and get back to Lori so that she can get her application submitted by November the 1st.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Yamamoto, any questions or concerns?
I've got a couple concerns, not concerns. First of all, I want to say that I can read your background clearly, Mr. Starr. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I think that is not something, again, we like to think about, but it's something that does happen all around the United States. Truly in support of your support of making sure this goes away. I'm not sure it ever will, but we need to be thinking in that area. And just a quick note to Jeff Underwood. I know Jeff's online. So apparently the boardroom lost audio. However, Jeff, you're probably online also. So the audio was perfect on Teams. So we never lost Commissioner Starr. But you know, I always think of Garibaldi as a Coast Guard city. I mean, Coast Guard is right there. They've got this beautiful facility as you go north on 101, overlooking the bay. I didn't know they weren't a Coast Guard city by designation, so I think this is terrific. Anything we can do to help make more visible our Coast Guard station in Tillamook County, on Tillamook Bay, all the great things that they do to make sure that our mariners are safe. Not only within the bay, but out on the ocean where things can get very, very difficult. So I am in complete support of this.
Thank you, Commissioner. As am I. We're very grateful for the Coast Guard in our community. I remember some years ago when there was talk about closing down the Coast Guard station in Garibaldi, and the community was up in arms with good reason because they're essential to the safety of our commercial fleets and our recreational fleets, and they're just a wonderful addition to the community. Their public service is outstanding. So I'm definitely in support of this, and I thank you for leading it. And with that, I think we're ready for a motion.
All right, in consideration of a letter in support of the City of Garibaldi's application to become a Coast Guard city, I move approval.
And I would second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Commissioner Starr. Now we will go back to item 5, which is the Tillamook County Wellness Presentation. And with us, I believe we have Marlene Putman, Administrator of Health and Human Services, and Michelle Yang, Wellbeing Director at Tillamook Adventist Health.
Commissioner Bell, can I interrupt for just a moment?
Yes, you may.
Thank you so much. I do have to be leaving. So I am triple booked tomorrow, but I've got some exciting news. So I'm driving down to Ashland as your board member to Tillamook Lightwave. I am attending the Oregon Telecommunications Conference in Ashland. My second booking at 1 o'clock tomorrow is I'm co-chair of Governance and Revenue at AOC, and we're having our steering committee meeting. But just yesterday, late afternoon, everyone knows I've been working on the buyout, the no fishery stream of biological opinion. We've been trying to get appointments to meet virtually with our federal delegation. We just got news back yesterday late afternoon that Chairman DeFazio would love to speak with us. And he has time at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So I'm triple booked, but I'm very excited about that. I am very hopeful that we will be able to get something done with Chairman DeFazio to help us slow down this no fishery stream of buyout. So please wish me luck.
I do wish you luck. Good luck, and thank you. That is good news.
Thank you. And I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you virtually this morning. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, so we're ready to move on with item 5 if Marlene and Michelle are ready.
Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle.
Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
is on and also is either double or triple booked as well. So I invite her if she's able to jump in, but I'll go ahead and take the lead this morning on giving as brief of a presentation and update as I can, recognizing your busy schedules today. I'm going to try to share my screen. Oh, I cannot share my screen, it's not enabled. So I was told that I have to share the presentation, but I don't see that as an option.
I think we're fixing that.
Got it, perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we like to, because Tillamook County Wellness is a program of Tillamook County Public Health, and our advisory board is appointed by you all. We like to come before you at least a few times a year with some updates. And so that's what we're doing today. Really quickly as we go through this, let me move the bed out here. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, thank you.
Great. So, just revisiting quickly our structure, that our backbone organization is the Tillamook County Community Health Centers. And the technical support for this project comes through a number of people working for Tillamook County Community Health Centers, including public health program representatives and AmeriCorps Vistas. We could not do this work without them, period. The core partners that are sort of the strategic vision leaders are Marlene and myself from Academics Health Tillamook, and then Dusty Linnell from OSU Extension, and Kayla Warner from Oregon Health and Science University. And then we have about, at any given time, 80 to 100 volunteers working in all of those other bubbles on that image there that come from the community. So we've been working on addressing the risk factors that if we are able to make healthier choices the norm and create a community that supports health and well-being and empower individuals to take advantage and make it easier for people to take advantage of healthier options, we should see lower rates of preventable chronic conditions like type 2 diabetes. Ultimately, the bottom line is community culture and environment has a greater impact than genetics on disease risk. So that's really what we're all about. We still continue to share healthy recipes through Tillamook County Wellness and work with community partners, to like food groups particularly, to increase access to healthy food for people, and build competence and confidence in cooking skills so that people who are able to access healthy food are more comfortable enjoying it and preferring it over less healthy options. The Connect and Screen Committee continues to work on a few very significant projects that are ongoing. One of those is the Connect Oregon Network, continuing to increase the number of community partners and programs that are on this electronic network that is designed to help get people connected to all of these different facets of the community that we know influence their risk for that disease. So we can get folks screened and referred for social needs like getting a better paying job or getting the education needed to get that better paying job, family social supports, and community programming like the programming through the YMCA locally and the NCRD and down at Highland Community Center. All of those things, the goal is to get those into this network and get an army of users using the network to make those connections, and also helps us generate some data to understand where the needs are, where the gaps are, where we need to focus investments. We have a user-initiated assistance request form for the Connect Oregon Network that's being built and will be available on the Tillamook County Community Health Center's website, Tillamook County Wellness website, and the Our Tillamook website. So that's a way that individuals can access this network directly themselves and put forward the requests that they have. And there will be a number of other entry points for that, including through the healthcare settings locally. We continue to support the National Diabetes Prevention Program and the Chronic Disease Self-Management Programming that is offered through the YMCA. Those are our programs that are in that network. and they're really effective. They really turn people's health and life around, and the effects are lasting and support the whole family's health and well-being. So can't say enough about the good work that the YMCA does on that. And then lastly, this committee is working on increasing the number of trained and available community health workers to be the warm hands that provide those handoffs between those different programs in the community that support health and well-being. Well, the Access to Physical Activity Committee is chugging along. We've had walking groups meeting all summer long with, off the top of my head, I don't remember, but I think it's about 70 participants total. Ongoing coordination with the interactive map that is hosted by and supported by funding from Visit Film Coast. It's a partnership. We're really sharing that resource with the local community members, and there's some work being done to increase the information in that map for accessibility, whether that's for people in wheelchairs or other mobility challenges, highlighting the locations and areas in the community where people can that have those needs still have access to those outdoor recreation opportunities. And we also launched a mindfulness walking program this year, and with the support of one of our AmeriCorps Vistas, and we built out a web page around that topic, and it's got some really great resources. So I wanted to highlight that addition over this past 9 months or so. The Health Promotions Committee launched a This Way to Wellbeing campaign in April, and it's winding down at the end of October. We've used this extensively with our workplace wellness liaisons, and this campaign and the messaging and the resources that are generated by Tillamook County Wellness are being integrated into work sites throughout the county, which is really gratifying to see. There's an interest among those workplace wellness leaders to use this to build a sense of culture and community within their workplaces, and also to take advantage of volunteerism opportunities, getting teams together during paid work time to do volunteer work, and helping associates get connected to opportunities to volunteer in areas that are interesting to them. That's really highly correlated with improved health, volunteering, and feeling a sense of belonging in your community and value in your community, the ability to give back and to be able to find a network that shares common interests and values. So we're working steadily on building that culture through the work of these committees. We've also added financial well-being as a focus this year. It is also tied to our community health needs assessment priorities. And we built out and are delivering a series of financial wellness videos, thanks to some volunteer time from Liz Carroll, who is a Mindful Money coach. She built out several short videos and three longer videos that we'll be featuring in a webinar series on Mondays, starting on October 10th. So over 3 Mondays in a row in October, the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th, people can log on for free to take advantage of some free financial coaching and get started on their journey toward getting a sense of confidence and control over their spending and finance and budgeting, so that they can start investing in their health and well-being, which financial wellness is definitely also tied to. The other thing that's happening is that we've merged the advisory committee for Tillamook County Wellness with the steering committee that led the work of our community health needs assessment. So we have about a 30-member steering committee. Many of those individuals are currently appointed by the Board of Commissioners, and so we're going to look at the structure. And the great thing about this development is that it is helping us to achieve one of our goals of increasing the diversity of representation representation in Tolman County Wellness. We have a lot more organizations that serve different populations, including members of the Hispanic and Latinx communities that are now part of this process, and that's been something we've been really working very hard to do for the last 5 years. We are really building those relationships in deep and meaningful ways, and we will be using those leaders and in a process over the next 3 years to address housing, access to care, and financial stability. So this group will be working collaboratively to develop a community health improvement plan using existing work and such as the Housing Commission and other, also when looking at access to care, the Connect Oregon Network is a great example of an existing resource that we have at our disposal, and if we can work collectively to really amplify the impact that we can get from those efforts, and then monitor and track specific data points to see if we are moving the dial on some of those areas. So this is a little bit fuzzy, my apologies, but this basically just gives you an idea of the model that we are using. I mentioned before that a zip code is more correlated than genetics to people's health. And so building this deep collaboration and intentional collective work around creating healthier environments and culture, where the healthier choices become the more default and natural choices for people to make. It's a long process and requires a lot of intention and strategy, and that's what this group will be working on as the advisory group for Tolman County Wellness. And then this is a little graphic that some of our team members came up with to kind of show how it all fits together, how our CHMA priorities can be folded into the broader scope of Tolman County Wellness and still support the existing committees and work that's being done to address and reduce risk for disease in Tolman County. We've also got a plan for doing some evaluation of our work. We've got partners working with us on that. And that is my report. Any questions?
Thank you, Michelle. Commissioner Scar, I'll start with you. Questions, comments?
No, I don't have any questions. I want to thank you, Michelle, for this work. I know this has been just a really amazing community process that you have led in the last, what has it been, 5 years? Is that right? So this really, it started out, I know, with Commissioner Bartline and wanting to have a year of wellness, and you did such an amazing job after that first year that it has really just continued and continued. And tying together some of those super important aspects that we talk about with socioeconomics and health. And it's critical. And a lot of times it's hard to get people to really wrap their heads around. And as a community, I feel like you've led the effort of helping us all wrap our head around the fact that the zip code is the important part. And that if we work hard to make the healthy choice the easy choice, we can really move the dial for folks who live in our communities, and for all of us to have a way to be a part of that is really fantastic. So I want to thank you for all of that work. It is exciting. I'm sitting currently on the statewide advisory for the Connect Oregon project, and that is amazing to think about. We've tried for years to figure out how to connect our healthcare providers electronically with those who are working on the social determinants of health, and how do we make those referrals easy and seamless, and Connect Oregon is a space to do that. So that is one piece of it for me that I'm extra excited about, I think, is the ability for someone to really have no wrong door to getting help for those social determinants, and being able to say, whether it's to their medical provider or whether it's to their community health worker, hey, I'm struggling with food access, or I'm struggling with access to shelter, and to have that person be able to say, hey, you know what, let me just go ahead and type that right in here. I'm going to make a referral to you for the food bank or to a housing provider, and have the ability then to circle back the next time that they see that person and say, it looks like you made that connection. How's it going for you? To really have the community wrap around people in such an intentional way, again, where we change how our zip code supports people in being healthy. So I love the work, and I so appreciate what you've done.
Thank you, Commissioner. Michelle, I also want to thank you for being here and thank you for all of your work. This was a great presentation and it's just, a drop in the bucket of the excellent work that you do and have been doing, as Commissioner Scar said, for at least 5 years on this project. I think that I'm really excited about the Community Health Needs Assessment this year. This is something that Community Health Partners undertake on a regular basis, but this is the first time since I've been aware of the Community Health Needs Assessment that housing and financial security have been included in community health needs priorities, which I think is very insightful. It's insightful and it's important because it seems obvious that people who have housing insecurity, people who live in unsafe housing, people who are homeless are not able to focus on their health. And likewise, people who live in poverty are not focused on their health. They're focused on their just basic day-to-day needs. And so I really think that this is good work, and we're accessing another layer than what we have done previously. So I'm proud of us that we're digging deeper and looking more closely at what really affects the health of people in our community. So I'm proud of the work and I'm grateful to you, so thank you.
I appreciate the opportunity, and I see that Marlene has her hand up. Before I hand it over to her, I just want to thank her, because without her leadership and her organization, we wouldn't have this happening. So I appreciate the accolades or whatever, but I really, I'm just grateful for the opportunity. It's gratifying, it's hard work, but it's really gratifying.
Thank you. Marlene?
I just wanted to put in a plug because we're working on, with the team here in the health center, on funding to be able to continue to provide the staff support that our partners have really become used to and they expect. So we're looking to apply for a rural health resources network grant to allow us to continue to, as I said, staff, but also to add on some additional support for those committees that will come out of the Community Health Needs Assessment and the implementation plan that we create. So wanted to mention that you'll be seeing it come up because it will require your approval for us to apply. But we just really, as Michelle was saying, have a great team of people that support and make this possible with staff, with Michelle and our staff in public health and our vistas that we have here. It's just, you gotta keep always plugging the resources in to be able to provide the support so people can come, be engaged, and be creative and do this great work. They're doing this part of their jobs too, our partners or volunteers. So just wanted to mention that as well, and thank you for your support of this continued effort.
Thank you, Marlene. All right, anything further on this issue? Well, we appreciate the update. We're very grateful for that. We'll move on to item 12 now, which is board concerns. I'd like to toss it over to County Council Bill Sargent and ask him for a fishing update.
I thought we were gonna go into executive session.
Oh, we are, but right after your fishing update.
Fishing's good in the bay.
There are so many boats out there. I think about you when I drive by the bay and I see all those boats.
But we pitch them all back in the water when we catch them,
Yeah,
because they all have fins.
gotcha. Okay, so you're catching lots of natives.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Scar? Board concerns before we go into executive session?
No board concerns, but I would share that fishing in Halem Bay has been very successful, according to someone that I know well.
That's great. Okay, so the commissioners are going into executive session now, and I'll ask Bill to share the number with us.
192-6602D.
Thank you.
You're welcome.